Jo Hyun, observing a possessed girl attacking everyone, deduces that she's under the influence of a knife relic. He recognizes the escalating danger as more people succumb to the possession, making escape increasingly challenging. Understanding the sinister sacrificial nature of the trap, Jo Hyun questions those in the pit about who led them into this perilous situation. The response points to a Japanese man who sang a strange song, triggering the release of the trap. Descending into the pit, Jo Hyun takes swift action by wielding the knife relic to slash the blades embedded in the walls. As he reaches the bottom, a possessed individual charges at him, but Jo Hyun deftly employs a rope relic to subdue and restrain the girl. Sensing an opportunity, he disarms her, taking control of the situation. The knife relic demands to know Jo Hyun's identity, but he dismisses the question, asserting dominance over the relic and checking its stats. To his disdain, he discovers it's a mere C-rank relic, prompting him to discard it with a hint of contempt. Undeterred, Jo Hyun approaches the tied-up girl. Upon her request to be untied, Jo Hyun complies, using the rope relic to release her. Demonstrating a blend of assertiveness and compassion, he assures the others that he is not a malevolent force and offers to guide them out of the treacherous pit. This gesture aims to establish trust and cooperation among the trapped individuals. The scene transitions to Kiyoshi, unaware of the unfolding events below. He excitedly believes he has eliminated witnesses and celebrates the discovery of the room containing the Muramasa relic. Kiyoshi embarked on a quest to find the coveted Muramasa sword within the tomb. However, his actions did not go unnoticed, and the civilians, who felt abandoned by his earlier departure, discovered him. Civilian seizes Kiyoshi and unleashes a barrage of blows upon him. Laughter erupted from Jo Hyun as he witnessed Kiyoshi's futile attempts to locate the relic despite arriving first. In a bid to expedite the search, Jo Hyun activated the Gold Axe relic, its mystical power aiding him in pinpointing the Muramasa sword relic. As Jo Hyun laid his hands on the sword, a luminous blue aura enveloped the surroundings, signifying a connection between the relic and its new holder. Unexpectedly, the sword began communicating with Jo Hyun, revealing a chilling condition for unlocking its power, the sacrifice of up to 10 lives. The shock echoed through the onlookers as the civilians and Kiyoshi grappled with the grim reality of the relic's demand. Jo Hyun, however, perceived it as a trial rather than a malevolent request. Engaging in a conversation with the sword relic, he questioned the necessity of such sacrifice. Unyielding, the relic insisted on its demand, prompting Jo Hyun to exercise his dominance over it. A crimson aura manifested, leaving everyone present astonished at the unprecedented display of control by a mere human over a powerful relic. Despite initial surprise, Jo Hyun's determination and prowess prevailed, successfully taming the Muramasa sword relic and clearing the tomb. The intense encounter showcased Jo Hyun's unique ability to navigate the supernatural challenges posed by relics. With the tomb cleared, Jo Hyun employed his rope relic, a versatile tool that he used to create a lifeline for the trapped civilians. Encouraging them to hold onto the rope, he initiated the process of leading them out of the perilous tomb. Amidst the chaotic escape, Jo Hyun singled out Kiyoshi, suspecting ulterior motives behind his actions. Confronting Kiyoshi, Jo Hyun questioned whether he intended to harm the others once outside. Kiyoshi vehemently denied any such intentions and proposed a tempting deal to Jo Hyun. In exchange for being allowed to leave without facing consequences, Kiyoshi promised to recommend Jo Hyun to his government. This recommendation held the promise of substantial financial gain, up to 10 billion won for the Japanese excavation team. Moreover, Kiyoshi dangled the enticing prospect of access to the future relic guide, a potential game-changer for Jo Hyun endeavors. Jo Hyun challenged Kiyoshi's proposal regarding the future guide relic, pointing out that, as far as he knew, the relic could only be utilized by its original owner. Kiyoshi argued that there was a team managing the relic and assured Jo Hyun of their support. Agreeing to the terms, Jo Hyun allowed Kiyoshi to use the rope but insisted that he be the last to exit the tomb. Kiyoshi, seizing the chance to survive, smirked at Jo Hyun, considering him easily swayed by the promise of 10 billion won. As they both climbed the wall using the rope, Kiyoshi apologized for his earlier actions and expressed admiration for Jo Hyun's skills. He welcomed Jo Hyun, acknowledging that a proficient user like him would be valuable in any team. Jo Hyun, however, remained skeptical and expressed a desire to learn more about the Japanese team operating the prophetic relic. Worried about their trustworthiness, Jo Hyun hesitated to collaborate if they proved untrustworthy. Kiyoshi reassured Jo Hyun, revealing that the team in question was the renowned TKBM group. Despite Kiyoshi giving Jo Hyun information, Jo Hyun surprised Kiyoshi by kicking him, causing him to fall to the ground just before the tomb sealed shut. Jo Hyun emerged from the bathroom and found himself in the midst of a heated conversation among the relics. Their chatter was filled with disdainful remarks about him. Jo Hyun, unable to ignore the disrespectful tone, felt his anger rise. In response, he drew the Muramasa sword, a powerful relic in his possession. Jo Hyun confronted Muramasa, one of the relics, demanding an explanation. Muramasa's response was calm but firm, advising Jo Hyun to release the grip on the sword. Ignoring the advice, Jo Hyun, fueled by his anger, hurled the Muramasa sword into the toilet with a resounding splash. As the sword left his hand, Jo Hyun felt an abrupt pain. Confused, he inspected his hand to find a burn on his elbow. The realization hit him: the relics were not to be dominated forcefully. There was a customary procedure involving trials set by the relics to obtain their cooperation. By sidestepping this process, Jo Hyun had incurred damage to himself. The strength of the relic determined the resistance, and Jo Hyun's body couldn't endure this reckless path for much longer. Despite the physical toll, Jo Hyun grappled with a dilemma. The relics, if not dominated, were likely to betray him in the future. It was a precarious situation, and Jo Hyun believed he had no alternative. A sudden interruption came in the form of a window popping up before Jo Hyun. It announced the unlocking of basic skills for the Tomb Raider, signaling the completion of a quest. Another window opened, presenting Jo Hyun with options for his reward: the path of domination or the path of sociability. Perplexed, Jo Hyun turned and asked the Crow Relic, questioning the necessity of making a choice and pondering if this was another trial. Undeterred by the burn on his arm, Jo Hyun decided to pursue the path of domination. However, selecting this option yielded no immediate results. Expecting a reward or acknowledgement of his choice, Jo Hyun surveyed his surroundings but found nothing. It was a puzzling situation, leaving him questioning the consequences of his decision. Amidst the uncertainty, Jo Hyun reached into his pocket, hoping to find some clarity. To his surprise, his fingers closed around an unfamiliar relic, an instant food type, a silver pill. The window described it as a consumable food item, and Jo Hyun, with a sense of resignation, considered the potential risks. With little to lose, he decided to consume the silver pill, acknowledging that death might be the consequence. With the silver pill in hand, Jo Hyun decided to take a leap of faith and consumed it. After a moment, he reached for the Muramasa sword he had impulsively thrown into the toilet during his earlier confrontation with the relics. As he prepared to leave the bathroom, an unexpected sensation washed over him. The effects of the pill began to manifest, causing him to lose his grip on the Muramasa sword. Surprisingly, Jo Hyun felt a soothing warmth spreading through his body. Astonished, he examined his arm and discovered that the burn and any previous damage were miraculously healing. The silver pill, it seemed, was a potent healing relic. The realization struck him: such relics were exceedingly rare and held immense value in the world he navigated. A notification window popped up, announcing the discovery of the tolerance immunity skill. Jo Hyun had developed an ability to withstand the poisonous side effects of relics. This revelation left him in awe. It was the first time he had encountered an ability of this nature. He pondered whether this skill had been uniquely crafted for him, a sign of his distinct role in the realm of relics. The scene then transitioned to a news report detailing a significant earthquake in the Seoul district. An unidentified structure emerged at the quake's epicenter, trapping approximately 50 people inside. The structure harbored perilous traps, including walls adorned with menacing blades. Disturbingly, witnesses reported that a member of the Japanese excavation team was actively posing a threat to those trapped inside. The gravity of the situation escalated as the Korean government swiftly contacted their Japanese counterparts, seeking an explanation. As the news unfolded, the Chinese and Russian governments also demanded accountability from Japan for the actions of its excavation team. The international community watched with bated breath as diplomatic tensions flared, and the need for Japan to take responsibility became increasingly urgent. Cutting to the headquarters of the Japanese relic excavation team, the atmosphere was tense. Mori Hiroyuki, the leader of the team, found himself at the center of the storm. The board members, visibly upset, directed their frustration towards Mori for the unfolding crisis. Mori, acknowledging the severity of the situation, offered an apology to the board. In the midst of the heated discussion, one board member questioned Mori's earlier assurances that the team would handle the situation involving the appearance of the Korean figure from the prophecy. Mori found himself in a tight spot as he addressed the concerns of the board members. He acknowledged, stating that difficulties surrounded his situation, but the board member pressed him further, questioning his earlier claim that the user of the future guide relic needed to come into contact with an individual to locate their position. Mori explained that circumstances had changed, revealing a new development. Now, Mori could harness the future guide relic to track the Korean who had stolen the relic. He disclosed that Ito Sure had marked Kiyoshi with the future guide relic, and since Kiyoshi had come into contact with the Korean thief, even if it was incomplete, Mori could now determine the thief's location. This revelation seemed to alleviate some of the concerns the board members had. Mori went on to share information about ongoing efforts by scholars and the TKBM group. Those who weren't original owners of the Future Guide relic were exploring ways to use it, and considerable time and resources were being invested in this research. The board members, upon learning about these efforts, decided to give Mori one more chance to rectify the situation. Expressing gratitude for the opportunity, Mori assured the board members that he would take any necessary steps to eliminate the Korean thief. The gravity of the situation hung in the air as Mori pledged to do whatever it took to address the crisis at hand. The scene then transitioned. Jo-hyun lay on a bed, contemplating the newfound tolerance ability he had acquired. The potential significance of this ability struck him, especially if it extended to neutralizing the poisons commonly associated with relics. He reflected on the shared suffering of relic users, making this tolerance ability a potentially game-changing asset. Recalling his past life where healing relics held paramount importance, Jo-hyun marveled at the uniqueness of this ability. He mused about its exclusivity, wondering if it was a trait designed specifically for him. The influence of the Crow relic, a mysterious presence in his journey, lingered in his thoughts. Inquisitive about the Crow's motives, Jo-hyun directly questioned the relic about its plans and whether there were any benefits for the Crow in granting him this newfound advantage. To his expectations, the Crow remained silent. However, rather than feeling frustration, Jo-hyun interpreted the Crow's silence as a deliberate choice. It added another layer of mystery to the unfolding narrative, leaving him to speculate about the Crow's intentions. As Jo-hyun immersed himself in these thoughts, his contemplation was interrupted by a call from Sung-woo. As Jo-hyun took the call from Sung-woo, he learned that Sung-woo had investigated the list of attendees for the auction event. To their surprise, there were 3 individuals with the name JK. To get to the bottom of this, Jo-hyun decided it was essential to head to Las Vegas and verify the information firsthand. In the midst of this decision-making process, a window suddenly appeared, notifying Jo-hyun that he had been marked by a rank S relic, and his future was now being read. This revelation ignited a surge of frustration within him. Determined to address this new development, he informed Sung-woo that he would indeed be making his way to Las Vegas but needed to make a stop before reaching there. Prior to venturing to Las Vegas, Jo-hyun set his sights on Prince Shotoku's future guide. Prince Shotoku, a historical figure from the Asuka period in Japan, was known for being a politician and regent. The future guide, a prophetic reading attributed to Prince Shotoku, was a relic steeped in legend. Although there was no concrete evidence of its existence, ancient texts frequently alluded to this mystical item. What set it apart from other relics was its unique method of choosing an owner, as opposed to being placed in a tomb. The narrative then transitioned to a high school girl named Sasaki Yuka, who unexpectedly stumbled upon the future guide relic while walking along the road. The relic, with a mind of its own, designated Sasaki as its rightful owner. From that point onward, the future guide became an uninvited companion, persistently following Sasaki regardless of her attempts to discard it through shredding, burning, or abandonment. This unyielding pursuit struck fear into Sasaki's heart, making her uneasy and terrified. The Japanese government, learning about Sasaki's possession of the future guide, sought her assistance for the Japanese excavation team. This unexpected turn of events transformed Sasaki's life dramatically. Her family, once burdened by the hardships of life, now enjoyed affluence thanks to the assistance of the future guide. The relic proved instrumental in helping Japanese excavation teams amass a significant collection of relics, turning the tide in their favor. However, this newfound prosperity for Sasaki came at a cost. Focused solely on deciphering the future guide, she neglected her studies and education. The intricacies of the prophetic proved challenging for her to comprehend, hindering her ability to harness the relic's power effectively. As time unfolded, another user of a future reading relic emerged, surpassing Sasaki's skills and, unfortunately, leading to her demise. The story then shifted to Incheon International Airport, where Jo-hyun initially contemplated leaving the prophetic relic user alone, anticipating her eventual fate. However, everything changed when she dared to locate Jo-hyun's position. This development, coupled with the Japanese excavation team's association with CEO Kwon, compelled Jo-hyun to interfere with Kwon's plans as much as possible. The narrative then transitioned to a house where Sasaki immersed herself in her favorite TV show. An unexpected visitor interrupted her, informing Sasaki that it was time to consult the future guide. Frustrated at the interruption just as the show reached a climactic point, Sasaki learned she had already watched it 4 times. Despite her protests, she reluctantly went to her desk to read the future guide. As Sasaki delved into the prophetic reading, a sudden wave of fear washed over her. She shared a chilling prophecy with the visitor. Her destiny was foretelling her death, and she placed blame on a Korean individual. Distraught, Sasaki conveyed that Kiyoshi had also perished due to the same Korean individual. The visitor attempted to console Sasaki, urging her to check for other prophecies using her unique ability to peer into the future. With a sense of trepidation, Sasaki braced herself and once again consulted the future guide. This time, she successfully located Jo Hyun's position. Later, as Jo Hyun landed at Haneda Airport, the Japanese excavation team, armed with the information about his whereabouts, saw an opportunity to resolve their issues. Mori, the team leader, seized the moment and instructed his team to prepare for action. Shifting back to Jo Hyun's perspective, he found himself calmly enjoying sushi at a restaurant. Despite the looming threat and the continuous endangerment of Sasaki's life due to his actions, Jo Hyun contemplated when the Japanese excavation team would make their move. He acknowledged that with Sasaki's relentless attempts to unveil his location, a confrontation with the Japanese team was inevitable. Jo Hyun pondered the likelihood that the future guide had undoubtedly alerted Sasaki to the curse he had devised for her. This revelation, he believed, would have certainly captured the attention of the enigmatic future guide Relic. With this realization, Jo Hyun anticipated the presence of Japanese soldiers, presuming they were already on the scene, ready to act on the information provided by the future guide. Outside the room, Japanese soldiers stood poised, awaiting the opportune moment. Meanwhile, Sasaki, oblivious to the impending danger, approached the room with the intention of serving Jo Hyun as a waitress. Confused, she questioned the man accompanying her about entering a room where she believed someone intended to harm her. In response, the man assured her that all she needed to do was make eye contact with Jo Hyun, initiating a marking process that would grant the Japanese access to crucial information about him. Despite her reservations, Sasaki reluctantly entered the room, her mind echoing the scholar's emphasis on the potency of foreseeing future events. As Sasaki stepped into the room, her initial confusion gave way to pleasant surprise as she beheld Jo Hyun's handsome appearance. Puzzled by the notion that officers might be attempting harm against such an appealing individual, she couldn't fathom the circumstances surrounding Jo Hyun. Unbeknownst to her, Jo Hyun, recognizing her as the future guide Relic user, prepared to draw his sword. The Japanese excavation team, monitoring the unfolding scene through cameras, swiftly detected Jo Hyun's potential threat to Sasaki. In response, they urgently alerted the officers outside the room, emphasizing the perceived danger to Sasaki's well-being. To the surprise of the Japanese excavation team, Sasaki did not exit the room after making eye contact with Jo Hyun. Instead, she closed the door, leaving the officers bewildered. Inside the room, Sasaki, still unaware of Jo Hyun's true identity, expressed her admiration, assuming he was a celebrity. Jo Hyun, taken aback by this unexpected turn of events, observed Sasaki's smile as she came to the realization that he was not the celebrity she had envisioned. The Japanese excavation team, scrutinizing the unfolding drama on their cameras, grappled with the unexpected nature of Sasaki's actions. In the confines of the room, Sasaki expressed her desire to communicate with Jo Hyun. Using her phone, she typed a message, wondering if Jo Hyun could understand her. When she showed him the screen, the message revealed that she had the ability to see the future and had foreseen a friendship between them. This revelation left Jo Hyun initially bewildered, but he swiftly recognized the advantageous opportunity it presented. Jo Hyun shared something on his phone, evoking joy from Sasaki. Outside the room, chaos ensued as the door broke, and a rope relic swiftly immobilized a man, hindering the officer's movements. Jo Hyun emerged with Sasaki, alleviating her worries by explaining that he had restrained the individuals to ensure they wouldn't pose a threat to her. With the tense situation diffused, Jo Hyun playfully suggested that they proceed with their planned date.